All right, now I'm not going to go through and describe every single thing that I'm doing here. I'm just going to let you watch. And I think it should be all pretty self-explanatory. I just don't want to waste basically what is 30 minutes worth of this video of me creating the layout for this metal stand. So I'm just going to speed up the video and let you watch the process, and if you really want to see each detail, you can slow the video down in your player and you can pause it. Now I'm going to go into Fusion 360, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import my SVG. Once I've imported the SVG, I'll go ahead and place it on that X-axis, or on that X plane. And now I'm going to have to go up to Inspect and Measure to make sure that this thing's the right size. And it's not, so I'm going to have to come up with a factor to scale this up. And this will be 228.6, or 228 divided by 171. That'll give me the factor that I need to scale that up. Once it's scaled up, I'll go ahead and extrude this 1.6 millimeters so that I have a real three-dimensional object I'm working with. Once I'm done here, I'm going to go to the Manufacture tab, and I'm going to create a new setup and just change my origin to the bottom left-hand corner. Once that's done, I'll go up to my cutting tool, and I'll start creating the cutting and I'll start creating all the instructions for how to cut this item. All I have to do now is export this to G-code, and I can fire up my plasma cutter. All right, so now I've got the cutting board stand cut. All I'm going to do now is I have this kind of hard putty knife, rigid putty knife, and I'm just going to go around the cut marks here and chip off any small pieces of metal that are here. I'm telling you that because I'm not going to do this for you. When I send you these, I'm going to send them right off the cutter, and that's because it's the only way I can keep it cheap for you guys. So all I'm going to do is just with my putty knife, I'm just going to kind of go over the back of this and chip off any of those little pieces of metal that are stuck to the back, and then we'll be ready to go. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give this a good sanding. I'm going to use basically I think 100 grit sandpaper, and then maybe 220, or you can just start with 220. It really doesn't matter. All we're doing is trying to get it smooth enough to accept paint. All right, so now I've got the cutting board stand sanded on both sides. I don't have any protruding marks here or protruding little bits of metal anymore from the cut. This is as far as I'm going with the sanding of this. You can go as far as you like. Basically, I'm just going far enough to take off any scale or any other contaminants before I paint it. I'll also give this a wipe down with some mineral spirits to remove any oils before I spray on the paint. But the next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to bend it. Now, you're not going to need a sheet brake for this. Normally you would. Anytime you want to bend metal in a straight line, you want a sheet brake to do that. But I have made your life a little easier so that you won't need a sheet brake. I have cut these bend lines in here, and that's where we're going to bend. And what we're going to do is we're going to line this up on our workbench, and we're going to take the edge of our workbench. I don't know if you can see this, but we're going to line the edge of my workbench up with the middle, with the center of those bend holes. And then we're going to clamp it down, and we're going to bend it by hand. Okay, so first I'm just going to take the piece here, the part, and I'm going to line it up here on my workbench. And again, I'm going to align the edge of my workbench with the center of those bend lines there. And I've just got a piece of cherry here. I'm gonna put this wood all the way up to the edge of my workbench as well. Then I'm just going to clamp these down. And actually, getting ahead of myself here, actually you want to do this the other way. You want to bend the bigger part down. You want to keep the small part on the bench. I've learned from experience. So, all right, so now I'm just going to align these bend holes, the center of these bend holes, with my workbench. And I'll go ahead and clamp down this piece of cherry I've got here. And just clamp that down real good. And now I'm going to do is with even pressure and just kind of all together at once. This clamp's going to have to move because I'm not going to be able to clear it. So let's put it over here. You do want to clamp kind of as close to your workpiece as you can get it. But this will work. Okay, now that's clamped in. I'm just going to go ahead with even pressure, and I'm just going to, across the whole span of this, I'm just going to bend it. Just like so. And now I'm just going to check that I'm square, and I'm not. So I'm just going to kind of bend these into square as close as I can. I'll get this piece of wood in the front. You can use a pair of seamers here if you have some flat seamers. I'm just bending these by hand because I can't find my seamers. And there we go, we're at 90 on each side. And so there is the beginnings of our cutting board stand. All right, so now to paint. Let's see, I have a metallic copper, and then I have a hammered, looks like a hammered copper or hammered bronze maybe. I think I'm going to go with the hammered one. I've also got 4 screws here that I've screwed into this board so I can paint the tops of those. So I'm just going to very quickly do a light dab of paint on there. All right. Here's my stand. And let's just paint it with this hammered copper. See what that looks like. Okay, while this has been drying, I went ahead and I cut myself and milled up a piece of cherry. This is 2 inches by 10 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch, and then I lasered on basically the webs and our anniversary date there. And that's going to go on the front of my my cutting board display here. I'm just going to go ahead and ease these edges, give them a little bit of a round over, and then I'll go ahead and I think I'm going to I don't know. I may just polyacrylic this. Okay, so I've just applied some satin polyacrylic to this piece of cherry. I wanted this in my head. I wanted the wood to be kind of a stark contrast between the display and the actual wood in the front. It did not even occur to me when I was picking the color that this cherry and this bronze are very complementary. But hey, it is what it is. I could paint this again, but I'm not going to because my wife is already in love with it. So let's just attach this wood front to our metal base. And basically there you have it, a cutting board stand with an anniversary date on it that people can display in their home. Super easy thing that you could sell in addition to your cutting boards and add another 40, 50, or if your market pays better, my market would probably pay 40 or 50 for the stand. But if you're in the Northeast or Northwest, you could probably get closer to 7,500 for that stand. But there you go. It took about an hour total with paint and milling down the cherry. But that's what it looks like. And this will accommodate up to a 2-inch thick board. This board here is about 1.25 inches. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can find a thinner one. Okay, here's a thinner one. This one is about 1 inch. And you'll see it works just as fine for that one as well. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, make a comment. If you hate the video, you can say it there too. Anyways, like I said, I'm gonna have the metal portion of this stand available on Etsy. I want to reiterate, I'm going to send you this as is. All you're gonna get is a flat piece of metal that's been cut out. You're gonna have to do all the hard work, okay? I'll cut the metal for you, but you're gonna have to do all the hard work in making this a finished product. And use your imagination. This doesn't have to be square, or rectangular. This can be an arch shape or anything. Use your imagination. This thing could be done in a million different ways. But there you go. And I'll have it up on my Etsy, which is the Web Ranch with 2 B's on Etsy, and I'll have this up for as affordable as I can make it for you guys. I don't think sending you one is going to be affordable, so I'm going to have to do it in sets of maybe 5 or 10 because the shipping doesn't go up that much, but the initial shipping is pretty expensive. So for me to send you one of these is probably $15. For me to send you 10 of these is probably not a whole lot more. So I'll try and figure out a way to make it economical for you guys. And you can start adding these to your list of things that you sell at your farmers markets. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.